We're on the side of Chicken City along where the greenhouse is, and I've got a secret little trapdoor that gets some serious garden work done. So come through here and I will show you. This is a very awkward corridor between Chicken City and my greenhouse, and the way that the design went and the placement, we ended up with this space along here. Now, the problem with this space is there is a lot of stuff growing out of Chicken City into this space, a lot of strawberries popping up in the ground, and not that these are bad things, but this isn't my ideal space to be harvesting food. But there is a lot of plant life. So I thought, okay, if I'm not going to utilize those plants, I want a way to get the chickens utilizing them. So come down the corridor and I'll show you what we did. It's a journey. Okay, so here is my little secret trapdoor. So what this does is you open this, there we go, and then this comes down and it's like a little ramp, and the chicken's in there. Oh, hello, Rosie. Hello, possum. There you go, look at that. So the chickens in this room can come through this trapdoor, and then they've got this whole corridor that they can weed. So I don't leave this trapdoor open at night, or frankly anytime I'm not here, but often when I am here I will put this down and I'll let the chickens do their best work along here. And before I had this trapdoor, because this was retrofitted a few years after the main build, I was forever trying to deal with weeding this section, and it was just work for me that I hated. The chickens love doing it. So in your chicken coop, you might have a back part of it that is just weed or whatever. Perhaps this little trapdoor is all you need to be able to give your chickens access to do their best work so you don't have to. So we'll lock him back up for now. Beautiful. And now, like, that's safe. Nothing's getting in there to harm the chickens. And we will extract ourselves from this alleyway. Whew, okay. Hi, Ruby. Oh, no. You want to go in there and eat all the greenhouse veggies, I'm sure. Hello. This is where I like to sit and have my morning coffee, and Ruby comes and gives me a cuddle. So ain't you beautiful? No, we can't eat the mic. No. Okay, we've got to keep doing our tour. We also have an air conditioning system here in the Chicken City courtyard to make sure on hot days the chickies are well looked after, because overheating is actually way more dangerous for a chicken than dealing with the cold. I will say, since Chicken City has really developed some serious shade in the form of plants, the misting system isn't as important, but definitely when we were starting out and most of this courtyard was in full sun all day, the misting system was super important. So I'm going to put that on. Perfect. I don't think it actually went on. Excellent. Now that's on a timer that we can set the time it comes on and the days it comes on. So I don't have this coming on all the time, but I look at the weather forecast for the week and then I set it to come on the days that I want. And the good thing is I actually don't have to be here for this to turn on. So even when I'm at work, I know that the chickens are being looked after. So it's a pretty simple setup. We've just got a hose running across from the tap, and then it's attached to a stake there. I mean, I know it's a bit of pipe, but whatever. And then this mister, oh, it's not on, hilarious. Okay, 1 second. Okay, now he's cooking with gas. So this fine mist here falls kind of throughout Chicken City, and I will say when I've got the pump turned on, which I don't at the moment, this pumps out a lot more mist than it is now, but it wets the surface of the soil underneath, so when the chickens are walking in it, their feet are staying cool. So that's kind of a really key way to keep a chicken cool. You don't want the mist being on the chicken necessarily, you actually want the mist being on the ground that they can then use that to cool them down. We also have a few drips that come down, and we've got a dish underneath that catches them. So this is a way just to keep the water fresh and cool throughout the day. So I call this the bath. I ideally don't have it there for them to drink, but I have it there for them to stand on. Of course they drink it because they don't appreciate the difference, but you get the idea. If you watched my earlier videos from like 3 or 4 years ago, you will be able to see how much this courtyard has actually transformed from being basically an empty space to now being this lush food forest that it is. But the other thing you might have noticed in that video is I had a misting system across the roof here. Now, I spent a lot of time and effort and money putting this thing in, and then you can see it's got the little misting nozzles kind of every like 2 feet or so. That worked really well and did such a great job of air conditioning pretty much this entire space. But over time, and in my opinion, not long enough, these pipes actually started cracking, and I had issue after issue after issue with the misting system. So we've decommissioned him and we've gone for a really simple structure, one mister with a hose. I think I can get away with this now because of the lushness and the natural shade and the natural cool that these plants provide in the understory. But if it was really hot where you are and you didn't have as much shade, I think this roof misting structure was an absolute game changer for me in those first few years. Let's head into the chicken house and I'll show you something else. Okay, this is not revolutionary chicken coop design, but I promise if you've got chickens and you've got a lot of them, this is going to make your life easier. What I did was I put the main roost that most of my chickens like to sleep on kind of at my roughly head height. So when you've got chickens and you need to do health checks on them, which I probably do like every couple of weeks, I want to check everyone's cloaca, I want to check them for lice, I want to check their beak, I want to make sure their crop's full, all these kind of things. You're going to want to do that at night because the chickens are sleeping on the roost, they're not going to try and fly away, you can do what you need to do. But in the past, if I had the chickens sleeping lower or conversely had them higher, I can't do my jobs with the chickens. By having them along here, I stand up here and I can just run along and do them all and like check what I need to check what I need to check. And having them at eye height, it honestly makes it such an easier job. So my ideal roost, regardless of what your chicken house design is, would be something that's at eye height, so you're not squatting down. And conversely, we don't want to be trying to reach up and check a chicken for lice in the middle of the night. So again, not revolutionary, but it's helpful, I promise. In winter, Chicken City, unfortunately, gets very, very muddy and it's awful. I hope for your sake your chicken coop doesn't, but it tends to be the vibe, I think. So one of the things I do here in winter, and I've got a few techniques how I manage the mud, and I think that needs another video, but when it came to the design, is this walkway here is the walkway that I use the most, and this is really the thoroughfare that gets the most muddy. So what I did when I put in this raised garden bed with the citrus, I made it that between the compost bins here and this raised garden bed is exactly 1 pallet wide. So pallets, I have heaps of them at work. People are always trying to get rid of them for free, so you'll never have a shortage of pallets. But I set up what I call the boardwalk down the middle here, pallet, pallet, pallet. So when I'm walking on those pallets and I'm not squishing into the mud. So that is a pretty easy technique we can use, but you have to make sure that your chicken coop's designed to fit the pallets at the start. So I drag them in here for winter, and then in summer, I very much enjoy taking them out again, but they do serve a purpose and the spacing works well. Here is my thornless Waldo blackberry that gives me a huge amount of blackberries in summer, and I have him growing on the wall of the chicken coop. So literally the chicken coop itself is producing food as well. But what I did with him that worked really well, and I can see that people could use this at home, is his base is planted outside of the chicken courtyard. So it's in a different room. And if you watch my full tour, you can see him from the other side in all his glory. But he's planted out of there, so the chickens can't scratch up his roots, they can't eat his little shoots. But as his little shoots come up, his wavy arms that give us the berries, I train them into the chicken courtyard and along the chicken coop wall. So this way the plant's protected, and I have an abundance of berries in a space that otherwise would be pretty useless, other than being the wall of the chicken coop, which is useful. But you know how much I love a double use for things. Any berries that fall, the chickens will happily enjoy. You can see we're past the harvest now, but like this actually did produce a lot of berries on it. So that's one way that you can have lush green food forest in your chicken coop, but you actually plant the plant outside the chicken coop. So as we leave this chicken city paradise, the last tip I've got is having a double gate system to get into your chicken run is an absolute game changer for two reasons. One, the chickens are very keen to be where I am. So when I'm coming in and out of gates, they will often follow me. And if I didn't have the double gate, you may well be chasing a lot of chickens around your yard trying to get them back in. But the second thing is it actually proves to be excellent storage right in the heart of the chicken yard, but where the chickens can't get. So like their food, for example, I don't want those bins in here with the chickens because they could get into them. I keep them behind the double doors. Let's have a quick look. So door one. And you know, it's a bit crazy, it's a bit hectic, but it's functional, it gets the job done. So then here I've got my little bench, I've got my food supplies, I've got my chicken supplements, some of my key gardening stuff, all my harvesting baskets for all that produce I'm collecting. And then if we did happen to get a chicken in here, we can get him or her back out before we open the second gate. And especially because I've got two cheeky goats and a pony, if I didn't have the two gates, I would have goats in my chicken house, I would have chickens down the hill, and it would all be a disaster. So a bit of an investment, a bit of a investment in space as well, but one that I think is definitely worth it. So that is just a few of the design features of my Chicken City Ultimate Chicken Coop that I hadn't put in my tour video, but I wanted to show you. And my hope is that some of these techniques you may be able to work in or tweak or adopt for your chicken house too. Now, I did make some mistakes when I was setting up this garden. There are a few things I would have done differently, but that is a video for another day. So thank you so much for all your comments. I love reading them, and questions you have, I am here to answer. So put them in the comments and like this video and subscribe so you never miss a Chicken City update.